Hi, this is Stephanie Stevenson, otherwise known as Watercolor Artiste in social media circles, and I am the artist of midlifeartist.com, and this is my weekly live stream, Work in Progress Wednesdays. So welcome. If you're new here, welcome. This is my weekly live stream where I just paint and chat it up with friends on, I simulcast on Rumble and YouTube. Every now and then I get somebody on YouTube that comes into the chat and says hi, and then I miss them. So I'm going to try to be more proactive. I also miss some pretty key people in the chat. Picking up static in the sound pretty bad. All right. Hold on a second. How about now? Is it still pretty bad? How's my sound now? Check, check. 1, 2, 1, 2. I may have to plug in my wired mic only when I speak. What about now? Does it, I'm wondering if because I attached it to my zipper, which I did before. All right, let me try. All right, I'm trying the other one. Wondering if that makes a difference. I don't know why I have sound issues all of a sudden. Right? All right, now I'm trying again. It might be the fan is on in my laptop, but it's done that before too. Still a bad connection, huh? All right. Okay. I apologize. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me through this one? I don't know why. I got sound issues. Huh. me try one other thing. I've got some more things connected I don't normally have connected. Maybe I need to disconnect them. I don't know. Let's see. The volume is much lower. Well, that's not good because it's already pretty low on playback. All right. I don't know if having two mics is going to help at all. Well, I don't know what else to do, unfortunately. Well, let me see if I can put it on my... I'm wondering if it was the zipper or something. I don't know. All right, well, I may have to cut this short because I don't want sound to be annoying. People aren't going to tune into that. So maybe I should not do it tonight. Take that as a sign. And I'll just paint instead and share it later. Anyway, I'm just checking to see if I've got one more comment from my one fan in live chat about the volume. Let's see. I don't know how to work it. I've already done everything I think I can. So I'm going to unplug the wired one because that one low. And let's see. Nothing like technical difficulties. I'm going to go back to my intro for the time being. Oh well, I can't stay leaned forward, otherwise my chair will fall out behind me. That's not going to work. Is it still ticking or is it just slow? Full screen, audio mixer. Yeah, I switched back to sounds better. Is it still ticking? Because if it's a ticking sound, it's not going to work, and I should quit while I'm ahead. um, but any case, I'll give it a shot. No more ticking. Oh, thank God. So when I post this later, I'll have to say just jump to whatever timestamp this is, and we can start again. So after all the technical difficulties, thank you, honey, in the chat for helping me out. I'm Stephanie Stevenson, and I am watercolor artiste in social media circles, and I'm the artist at midlifeartist.com. And this is my weekly live stream for Work in Progress Wednesdays. And it helps keep me honest about painting weekly, even if it's just once a week on Wednesdays. Although I've been doing a lot of painting lately, which I'm proud to say. And so I started another painting uh, 2 nights ago and worked on it again last night. And I'm already made some pretty good progress. Um, I will see about showing that briefly. Let's see here. I'm not working on it tonight because I want to let it dry a little bit. But this is another 30-inch by 30-inch painting that I will be also working on. And it's called Resilient. And for my sister-in-law, did she just jump in and I finally see her? That's okay. I was having technical difficulties. But yes, that is my painting that's currently also in progress. But like I said, I'm going to let the layer I worked on last night dry. My Amazon is dry from the last time I worked on it, so I'll be working on my Amazon tonight. But oop, next week I plan to work on Resilient in my Work in Progress Wednesday video. Hi, author Lisa Stevenson. Welcome to the chat. Thanks. It's only 2 nights worth of layers, but significant progress. It helps when you're using the right brush size. Sometimes I get stuck on using a smaller brush than I should be, and it takes me longer. But in any case, welcome. I'm currently working on tonight my Amazon, which I think I'm going to call Ghost of the Interior when it's all said and done. That's going to be, I think, the official title. And I'm hoping this will stay put there. Okay. Nothing like technical difficulties and sound problems. But yeah, I'm working on the midground here. Let me see if I can't open up my video, make sure my palette cam is working. Very good. And then I got my camcorder showing this is what I had been working on prior to starting my new painting. But I'm going to be working in these areas here and here, the midground, and moving up. The background shouldn't be as detailed as the front, but I do need to make it so things are recognizable. So I'm going to try to work on that. It's probably going to be small progress, but I'm looking forward to getting this done and also getting the other one going, which is great. I love having two paintings going at the same time. So if you are new here, thank you for coming. I'm not a pro by any stretch of the imagination when it comes to videography. So I apologize in advance for my amateur hour videography. I hopefully make up for it in my artistry. Anywho, I do need to get some paints down on my palette. I've got a lot of shadowy area and then bright area of my image that I'm going to be working here. There's a shadowy area right here, followed by a very sunlit area here, and this is vegetation and small blooms. And then also up here is trees with the, I guess, Spanish moss hanging down or whatever. So I'm going to work on this. It shouldn't be too difficult because it's not very detailed in terms of this kind of detail up front where you've got individual petals that you can see. So it really shouldn't be hard, but it does need to be recognizable. And so that's what I will be doing. Let's see, I do have a lot of greens, blues, and some bright coloration spots to do for blooms here. So it's going to be greens and blues. And I'm going to be using my Blue Ridge colors, Blue Ridge oil colors out of Asheville, North Carolina. If you're interested in those kinds of oil paints based on what I've been using here, you can go to blueridgeoilpaint.com. They are not an official sponsor. I'm Small Potatoes. I have no official sponsors except for my husband, who is the project manager and owner of his own TTRPG. And my other sponsor is my sister-in-law, Lisa Stevenson, author, who I have been doing cover art for. So yeah, it's all goodness. Let's see here. I do need probably not to get my fingers dirty. That would be helpful. Not picking out paint tubes. That tells me one of my paint tubes has paint on it. Wonderful. Permanent crimson. I think I want alizarin crimson. I'm looking for my ultramarine blue. There we go. I got my big white. And then I do need to get my burnt umber as well. And then probably some Prussian blue. That would be for the darker areas of the shadows. So yeah, boring vegetation and bright little blooms. That's kind of what I'll be doing tonight. All right, there we go. I got some leftover colors here from my other painting. So if those come in handy, I will use them. Let's see here. We will use Hansa yellow. Yep, Hansa yellow. In case you're wondering what paint I am using in colors, I'm using alizarin crimson. This is the only Winsor & Newton I'm using tonight, which is my alizarin crimson. As you can pretty much make all colors from the primaries, of course. I have cobalt teal, which is more in line with the blue that printers use. And printers will make all the colors using the bright yellow, the cobalt teal, instead of traditional blue, and a bright red. Not alizarin crimson red, but that's okay. Ultramarine blue is a great transparent blue, also cool. Helps darken up for shadowy areas. And then, of course, Prussian blue is also a dark blue. So, and given that this painting is blue in blue-green in coolness tone, that's in line. So, and Lisa, when I start talking, I share a lot about my progress paintings in my online artist groups, particularly on Truth Social. And when I refer to your writings, you got to let me know if there's a link you want me to refer people to, so I can send people your way. I think starting as early as possible in our collaboration in that regard should be something we do and get people used to going to your site. So think about what you want me to share in that regard. All right, so here is a dark dark shaded area. It falls under this heavy trunk of a tree behind it. So I'm going to make sure I've got some vegetation. I got a bright orangey bloom here that kind of catches the light hanging as it hangs over the water. And then I got half lit in shade blooms that are a little lighter. So let's see here. I think my palette knife is over by the kitchen sink. I will just use a different one. Why not? It's a little fatter. Let's see. I'm going to mix some green here. So I'm mixing some of the Hansa yellow with my cobalt teal to get a nice funky green. If you can see that with, let me see if I can't get that over here without, you can see the green there. Funky green. Not used to this palette knife. I'm not sure if I like it. I may have to recruit the husband unit to go to the kitchen sink and get my other palette knife, which is up against the edge of the baking sheet that has next to the cleaning brush station. So husband unit, if you're hearing me, that would be awesome. Now this green is very bright. Let's see here. There we go. I hear my husband. he's so great. All right. Yeah. Not a fan. I mean, this is more of a painting palette knife. Did you? Yeah, open it up, honey. I'm kind of surrounded by stuff. Just sneak it in. Okay. Thank you. Ah, see, this is better. A thinner knife. There we go. I feel so much better. The husband unit saves the day. Did I do my? I did. Okay, this is my burnt umber deep. So to take some of that nuclear green out, I added some burnt umber deep. It gives me an army green color, but I can add more yellow to kind of brighten that up. I think I put too much burnt umber deep. So you just perk it up with color if it gets too murky. And you don't want too murky. I usually get a mid-tone color going first, and then I either push in with darks or pull out with lights later. I do need to put down some white as well. I just realized I don't have white on my palette. Let's see. And my sponsor did bring it because he's awesome that way. All right. Here we go. I got my medium set up, a fresh jar of it. I got a couple of jars of it going. The first two jars are pretty laden with paint with all the paint work I've been doing, but when you let them settle, you can decant the medium off the top and discard properly I'm going to use a smaller brush. You can discard properly the paint sediment in your local, according to your local ordinances. So I'm going to try to get some of these leaves painted in. I'm just going to see where this falls. I might need to lighten it up a little bit. Yeah. And then I do need a little bit of Galkid. Galkid is a fast drying medium. It helps paint dry faster and it's less dry. I've got a really dry house. And so things dry pretty quickly, but Galkid really makes it go so I can keep working every other evening, but with 2 paintings every evening. So let me see here. I'm going to go in There's, yeah, this is let's see if I can't zoom that in. Where's my, I don't have my remote on the desk. Okay, I'm not zooming in. Sorry, guys. I'm having technical difficulties of all kinds this evening. So what I'm doing is I'm just making some leaf shapes here to kind of give some indication of vegetation. So yeah, just, and then what I'll do is I'll darken around them some more to give the shadow areas to come in. So how was everyone's day today? Was it, still feels like a Monday to me. How bad is that? That's pretty bad. It's Wednesday, thank goodness. Hump day. That means we're downhill to the weekend. I'll take it. But this week's been a little better when it comes to work for me. So I'm happy about that. I'm happy to say that's the case. Ah, there, that's a little better. Starting to take shape. I feel like I'm just painting random shapes over here. And I don't like that. I'd like to try to paint um, different, trying, I'm obviously in the way of this when I'm painting. Let's see here. I'm painting with my left hand, y'all. This is not painting with the left hand. Talk about a challenge. All right. I'm going to do a different kind of, I'm painting with the edge of my filbert. Let's see here. And up here against, I'm making this up as I go along, it looks like, because it's hard to see what's really there for vegetation. When you're getting into the nitty-gritty of details. You're looking forward to Friday the 13th. Why is that? Why is that? I'm going to take some of this green while we're chatting up. I'm going to take some of this green, move it over closer to my blues, and get a deeper tone. Maybe a touch of burnt umber. And get a nice deep green for shadows, because there's more shadows, I think, than bright leaves. Oh, because it's the end of the week. Amen, sister. That is for sure. So I'm all about that. And this weekend coming up, oddly enough, is a 3-day weekend for me. I don't usually get those except around the big holidays, but for some reason, my workplace gives us Patriots Day. I think that's what it is. Oh, no, President's Day. President's Day. See, I don't even know what holiday we're getting off on Monday, but we are. I'm trying to give edges to these leaves. Need to see about zooming that in, but where did my, I'm looking for my remote control, because that could zoom in for you so you can see what I'm doing. Maybe I put it on my, I have found it. Let's see. We'll zoom this puppy in and you can see what I'm doing. So right in here, I got this brighter green, and now I'm coming in between the leaves with this darker green. But yeah, I got a 3-day weekend. I'm pretty excited about that because I could work on more art. I do have a to-do list, obviously, that I need to do a blog. I've got a draft going, but I haven't quite worked on it. Part of me has been so focused on the painting aspect, I really haven't gotten into the social media posts as much as I usually am. They don't serve me all that well, and that's okay. I'm also trying to paint as much as I can, because if you've been following along at all, you will know that I am trying to build up a body of painting work to be able to fill up tent walls, 3 tent walls, so I can do some tent events. Let's see here. Maybe I should get some blooms going. I want to get that bright orange bloom that's coming in. That's going to just pop right the heck off the canvas. All right. There's my little witch's cackle I use when I'm playing with Jackpot. He does not like it. Okay. Let's see. Small. How small am I making this? We're going to make this with a smaller filbert. I picked up some new filbert brushes the other night at Hobby Lobby. Smaller ones that are more watercolor-like bristles, not the hog hair kind. Let's see here. I want to make a bright orange. I gotta get the green off of the palette knife. There we go. But yeah, I'm gonna put a nice bright orange yellow. Let's see about I'm gonna borrow some of the orange that I was using from the other painting and see if I can't get a nice bright orangey yellow. This is too orange. When you add red or orange to yellow, you have to really use it sparingly. Otherwise, it really overpowers. I'm going to grab some more of that fancy yellow. Yeah. I also have a 16-inch by 16-inch square canvas that I want to get painting on something. Golly gee willikers, Bob. Let me know if my sound starts going wonky again. Because I've been playing with my mics because it keeps falling over. There we go. This is a better. Still a little dark in my estimation. I don't really want it pastel. I want it bright. So I'm not adding white. I'm adding more yellow. So if that's what you're wondering, I am. And that's it's a way to bring out tone without losing chroma of a color, is to add more of the lighter color of a mix without losing chroma. Certainly not adding any of the neutral things like, thanks Crazy Bear, the burnt umber or white or whatever. But that's the color If you see that right there, I'm going to get this wet. A little bit of my medium, my Galkid as it were. Galkid again is a fast drying medium. When you're working with oils, straight up oils, it will take a while for them to dry. You gotta be careful not to touch the green, otherwise it'll mix. You see that coming out already? And what I'll have to do is see here. The camera that I'm using, my camcorder camera, which is on the canvas, is a better camera than my webcam on the laptop. So I use the camcorder for this, and it doesn't look nearly as vibrant as it looks in person. So at some point I'll take my palette cam and show what it looks like, because it doesn't look as bright as I want it to, and I'm not sure why that is. So it's okay though. I'll get it there. It's a little wet now. I don't know. And like I said, there's not much to these blooms because they're small and they're in the midground. So you can't get too detailed with them. Otherwise, they will pull forward and not look right. Yeah. I'll have to come back in, touch that up when it dries some more. Now I'm going to take some of this yellow, just a little bit of green, not a lot, to get a lighter tone that will act as bright spots on some of these leaves. And it's such small work, such small detail. I'm not used to working with the smaller brushes. So used to bigger brushes. And this is really just touches. I need to get the blues and the other purple flowers in there. Now I'm going to save some of this for the bright spot. There we go. Okay. Let's see. All right, blues. I'm going to do some of this cobalt teal with ultramarine blue. I might have to take my palette cam down so you can see what I'm doing with it. A little bit of the cobalt teal, a little bit of the ultramarine blue to get a mid-tone. Blue going. I keep bouncing back and forth between colors. Probably not a good idea, but let's see here. You can see what I'm doing. All right. So you can see the details here. Oops, right. Details. Details here in the foreground. And as you move in the back, there are less details. So you can just see it's green shapes surrounded by dark shadows, but these are still popping out too much. And you can see the brightness of this. This is coming across even more yellow than I'm seeing it. This has actually got more oranges in it. And then this is a stump of a tree or a tree trunk that goes up. And then between this tree trunk and the next one is a bright sunlight lit spot. So, and that's my reference shot I'm working from. So you can see the kind of detail I'm working on. But it's just touches, just shapes. You got to keep the right tones. And then I got to do something similar to the other side. And again, these colors are not registering truly on both my camcorder and even my palette cam. But this is as close as I can get. These seem to come out the same. But these are still, I can't wait to get back working on her, but I really do want to get the environment around her more defined. So, but yeah, so that's what that's looking like. Let's see here. Put this back up. Okay. There we go. So you see, and again, like I said, the colors don't seem to be coming across as true on either camera, which I find interesting because that is not. Trying to get some brights here. I'm trying not to hold my brush like a pencil. That's too tight. You want to keep it. You want to keep it. This is too bright, but that's okay. I'm going to come back in with more. With more blue. Very small filbert brush here, because these are very small flowers. They're like in profile. Those blues popping out. You can see that in the camcorder. You can see that. So yeah, that's so you know, for all the painting I'm doing, I'm only working in a very small spot. Very, very small spot. this comes down. I'm just touching little spots to try to get it to be defined. I've never done this kind of vegetation before where it's so detailed and it's midground, so it's not just color swatches, it's more than that. It's man, trying to make these leaves less flat and more dimensional. So I'm trying to give them a little more dimension to them without losing them. This leaf is in the shadow of that flower. I need to get a different color there. Let's see here. Let's do a purple. That's the joys of painting. You can choose what colors you really want. Let's see here. It's been fun trying to teach my husband how to oil paint. He's just in the beginning stages where it's frustrating and difficult because he's not used to dealing with this medium. It's live paint. It doesn't always do what you want it to do. And so, yeah, he has a little bit of a hard time with that. It's okay. Us artists have been there, done that, have the t-shirt. I couldn't do Adobe Photoshop to save my life, but that's why I've got him. He helps me out. So yeah, my husband has since started his own painting. I'm not going to show it because it's not mine to show. He'll show it when he's good and ready, but he's working on his first oil painting, and I mean first. He's done acrylics, and I think he's more comfortable with acrylics, but they're also very fast drying. And so, and he knows that oil colors are much more rich than well, acrylics can be bright and pretty, but there's just something about working with oils that really, like, all this is all oil here, and it's really a rich looking painting in terms of its color saturation and things like that. I'm trying to do some texture to this bloom. I started off with a pastelish kind of purple, which I'm not liking, so I'm going back to my raw colors and bringing those raw colors back. Or I'm trying to, but the paint is wet. So what I'm going to do, yeah, that purple's not registering because it's very dark. It's almost as dark as the dark leaves. I'm going to come in with an orangey red. See if I can't pick up. No, that's not working. I didn't want to use white, but I think I'm going to have to. I'm going to mix on the canvas. And when you're painting on the canvas, wet on wet, it blends real fast. So when these blobs of color that I'm putting on, and they're essentially blobs of color dry, I can come in with a more detailed brush and kind of define those petals better. It's been fun so far to really um, work between two canvases that are so different from each other. Because this one is that blue-green, cool kind of tone. And then the other one that I just started is warm oranges and reds and just very warm palette. And it is night and day between the two. Hi, Art of Zen. Welcome to the chat. You missed my technical difficulties. Lucky you. Let's see here. I'm trying to grab some color. There. Oh, it's off the screen. Yeah, I'm trying to paint the midground. How you doing this evening, Art of Zen? Have you gotten back to painting, or are you still being lazy as you indicated last week? That was your word, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm not trying to judge. I'm just wondering if you were able to get yourself motivated and pick up where you're left off, so to speak. I know you were working on some, I think you were working on a black paper or canvas. Still, still lazy. Okay, I don't feel so bad now for saying it. We're kind of opposite parts of the spectrum here. I've been really busy and I've liked it. I've liked it, but I think I'm a little frustrated with this one because it's only because it's got so much detail that I have to spend so much time in a small area to define it. And I like to work big. I get big done fast. You know what I mean? Big done fast. Not happening with this painting now. But you know, once I get this really situated, though, it will really pop, I think. I'll have to get up and show you my other painting real quick since you're late to the party, as they say. I'd like for you to see what I'm working on. Let's see here. I think I need to try to bring this other bloom forward. Do some touches. Touches of this brighter color. All right, real quick, I will switch over to my webcam real quick so you can see. This is the other painting I'm working on. It's also 30 inches by 30 inches. Oops, which way am I going? And it's just in its second layer. I did the second layer last night, the first layer the night before. The first layer, I did the first layer in this quinacridone magenta, and it came out so bright you had to wear shades. And I'm like, no, that's not how I wanted it to go. So I had to come back in with some more subdued colors and say, no, it's a little too bright. We don't want to be nuclear. We just want to be bright. So yeah, that was fun. But it's well on its way now, so I'm all right with that. So yeah, 30 inch by 30 inch, 30 inch by 30 inch. I've got a 16 by 16 and an 8 by 8 actually. The 8 by 8's a work in progress I haven't touched in a long time. So I'm gonna do it. Of a butterfly. It's more of a mixed media because it's got collage papers on it, and I just kind of stopped it. It wasn't. I love butterflies. Don't get me wrong, but I wasn't. How do I say? I just wasn't into it. I guess Sometimes you're just not into it. So that's so bright right there. Oh, wait. Let me bring you back to this one. There we go. Flowers, the bane of my existence. Yes. Ding ding. French fries are done. All right. That is not bright enough. Again, more dimension to these leaves. What do I got there? Not much. All right. A lot of shade. That's what I got. You're just not feeling it. Well, that, I guess as artists, we go through that sometimes. I actually have a lot to paint, which I'm okay with. But I do think I'm also driven by the fact that I'm trying to get that body of work um, created so I can do those tent events. That's And I don't even know if all this work that I'm doing is really going to get me there. I just don't know if I've got enough time. And it may not be. I know that my small town has a 250th celebration for in our small town. Um, they're going to have parades and stuff, and I'm thinking, well, maybe that's what I do, right? Maybe I just do the small town stuff, but there's not a lot of payoff in terms of, um, a lot of people in the market for art at such events. So it's like, am I wasting my time? And part of me is like, no, because it gives you an opportunity to meet people in your own community, which I should be doing, which I struggle with. But at the same time, It's a lot of effort for little return on investment. So, but that doesn't mean I stop doing what I'm doing in terms of trying to get my paintings, get more paintings done. Really, what it amounts to is because there's more at the end of the year too. There's more at the end of the year. And maybe by then I can say, yeah, I have enough. But don't know for sure. Trying to get some dimension to this flower. All right, so now I need to get, let me push it up a little bit so you can see what I'm looking at here. There we go. So now I've got a bloom here too. I'm gonna, yeah, okay. I got a bloom up here, and then it gets really dark up there. And thankfully, when it's really dark, you don't have to have a lot of detail. That's true. By the time I'm done with everything I'm working on this year, I will certainly have a good start for next if I don't make it to the to the events this year. So here is a bright spot that the sun is shining down on. And it's a lot of just almost like little just mark making, but it feels like it's cheating. I don't know why. You don't get a lot of detail. I've already got a bright spot here. And up here. There's some bright spots here. Not exactly sure how I'm going to capture. Let me show you what I'm looking at. I'll take palette cam down for a second so you can see. Because boy, does this. So you can see, trying to get the glare off of this, but you can see this is where I've been working. I got to do that bloom. And there's another small really in shadow, these two. But you can see the work that closer to the water, you got brighter. But then you got this bright spot here. And it's just a mess of paint strokes from my first layer or my second layer. But when you look at the reference, you see what I mean? So I guess I got to really look at those leaves and how they're positioned and maybe do that. I don't know. This is new territory. I don't do landscapes, guys. I do figures. I don't do flowers. I don't do landscapes. But guess what I'm doing both of? Yeah. Yeah. Fun times. And let's get this back positioned. Get my keep my cord out of the way. But you see what I'm saying? Oh, well, thank you. It just seems, I guess, when I approach this, I'm approaching it with the mindset that it's like drawing, but it really isn't like drawing. It's really more about painting and its touches, and I guess it's directional strokes, you know what I mean? Uh, so, so I'm going to probably go ahead and just get some of these blooms dropped in. Holy cow. And you see how I'm holding the brush like this? And I'm just touching the canvas. And I feel like all I'm doing is making blobs of paint. You know, blobs of paint. But I guess it's all how I angle the touches, I guess. And then when I come in on a second layer after that's dry with a much smaller brush, and maybe the small details will make the difference. I'm not sure. I am not sure. This is kind of new territory for me. So my husband's not the only one learning. Thanks, Zen. I appreciate that vote of confidence, especially the foreground ones. I think I painted those 2 times over. That's what I think I did. These are all like orangey ones, orangey flowers, orangey and yellow. I do need to maybe do a different color. Do more of a, I think what I'll do, I'll take that one off that I was just painting. Not orange, but I'll come in. What's great about this is that you can take it right back off because it's still wet and the bottom layer is very much dry. And so it's like erasing. So I think I'm going to put a purple one there, but it's more like a pink. That's what I'll do, more like a pink. Get some of this crimson alizarin, or alizarin crimson, however you say it. And get a pink bloom in there. Let's do a pink bloom. All right. You can't really see that, but then again, I have to get those details of the what the heck are those? The leaves and the stems and the, they're all kind of yellowish green. Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly right. And that's probably what I need to do. There is just some touches. Of But yeah, when you come back away from it, it definitely looks like I did something here that's worthy of pointing out. So I feel good about that. I'm running up against the colors between the bright yellows and the light greens is subtle. And so, I'm not sure if it's going to come out or register well. Certainly not at the camera distance. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to try to do some brush strokes that make sense. Maybe that'll help. Where I've got, and of course it's not going to make a lot of sense until I get some of the darker so yeah, what I'm doing is I'm looking at the reference, and there's a lot of horizontal leaning down kind of movement here. And I'm thinking maybe if I do that, that it will register a little better. Let's see here. Touches of this bright yellow with, you know, cadmium white. Let's see. Boy, fun times. I need to make a better transition from the brightest bright here to a half light to the dark. There needs to be a little bit of a half light there. Sort of like what I did in here, because it's falling under the shadow, but it's still brighter here than it is in here. So I just have to do a transition there, I think. All right, I'll move to that in a minute. Let's see here. Break some of the edges there. I think if I make some of this area rock, that'll also help. All right, so let's see here. We'll go back to a medium tone. Try to get some of a and that way some crosses over, and that way it seems to make a little bit more sense. And I can tell it does already. Here, let me show you how that's looking. I know I keep doing this, but I gotta watch where that where that cord goes. You can see it's just paint strokes, but it actually looks better. And then I got that mid-tone coming in, and then I got to do some of the touches of these darker blooms that really have no detail, but they do need to look more flower-like. But I'll come in with some of these tones here in touches so that it shows depth even in the brightest spot there. What do you think? So let me step back. So right now, that's what it's looking like. And that seems to be registering. I do think I need to maybe do some brighter touches that are like this bright, just at the water's edge, like it's just reaching out for that bright sunshine. So there's that again, versus what it's showing. A lot of light here, a lot of nuanced light, half light, and dark areas. You got to make them work. Yeah, fun times. But I'm enjoying the process. I'm learning while I do it, which is great. But boy, is it scary when you know. And then I tell myself it shouldn't be scary because you can just paint over it, just like everything else you do. All right then. So yeah, I'm going to, I think, if, so there's not such a hard delineation between the bright light and the half light. I'm going to touch in some of these darker areas, so that way it registers that there's crossover. There's not a hard edge of, even though there's harsh light, I think pushing in with the darks and pulling out with the lights will help with this, I think. That's what I think. Just a little bit of touches here and there. Yeah, it is good to be challenged, but I feel like I'm doing that to myself all the time. All the time. But that's okay. And this midtone's kind of coming in handy. That is not bad. I really was sweating it, but it's actually not that bad. I feel okay. I feel okay. I do think I want to put a rock here. So I am going to take a different brush and that rock is sitting at the water's edge. So I'm gonna yeah. And then this is, I'll have to get those rocks with the sunlight on him. And then I got to do some like natural wake lines along the edges where it touches the the edge of the brown there. Let's see here. Yeah, you challenge me every day, baby. But I love it. Oh my goodness. This has been quite challenging, but I think I'm succeeding. What do you guys think after how I started and how it's turning out? There's not a lot of detail, but it's just enough to delineate leaves and blooms. There we go. And then some touches here. Yeah. Okay. And then I think I'm going to take a few areas and just touch some of the darkest darks, especially the closer I get to the ground. That makes a lot more sense to me. Very good. I did it, I think. I do think I need to maybe do a couple of bright touches. Right here and here, where it's closest to that light source. There we go. Yeah. For the amount of time I spent on it, I did develop this pretty well, I think. I'm going to do the palette cam one more time with it before I call it for the evening because we're close to 9:30 already. Holy cow. It didn't help that I had technical difficulties, but yeah, I definitely getting a more finished looking vibe from that left side. I got to do the same thing for this side. So, and that doesn't seem to be too detailed, I don't think. It does capture the light, I think, which I do think I might have to come in with some different coloration on this part of the water to help continue that light source. But yeah, all right. So there we go. That, my friends, is a wrap, I think. So, oops. Let's try not to. There we go. But yeah, so there we go. I appreciate you joining in with me, Art of Zen and Lisa and Crazy Bear. Thank you for joining in, and even through my technical difficulties. And you got to see the preview of the next painting. So yeah, not bad at all. So yeah, feeling pretty good about that. So there's my brushing away. And it's still very painterly. It's got that painterly look to it. I try not to get so caught up in hyper realism that I lose the painterly strokes, which if I were that way, this would take me a whole lot longer. Um, so yeah, I'm pretty happy with how that's turning out. I hope I can be as successful on this side, which I'll probably work on in the interim. But next week, I'm going to plan on working on Resilient, my new painting, for the live stream. And I'll just share progress shots of this as I work on it too. I've been working on things every night. It's not just Wednesdays. So I really, like I said, Zen, I'm kind of the opposite. I am just cranking on the work. There's plenty for me to do right now. And in fact, doing it part-time is going to take me forever to get these finished. But I really like the large format. I do like painting this big. Um, and I'm not a big fan of doing small details, but I'm managing and I'm doing things I haven't done before. So yeah, um, I'm pretty pleased with how it's going. So again, thank you for joining. Do all the algorithm things, like, subscribe, share, comment, all those things that tickle the algorithm's fancy. I'd appreciate it. I'd appreciate sharing out the video, whatever. It's nice to have people to chat with when I'm doing this. So I appreciate it very much. So have a good rest of the week. If you have Monday off, congratulations. If you don't, I'm sorry. Have a good regular weekend. I'm going to be doing a lot of painting hopefully this weekend coming up. And maybe I'll have more to show for it. So anyway, have a good night and be well. And